So I had to fully update
With my little, this gets so tiny.
it took a while.
Just a little short.
To be able to get into this.
You still have it
Evaluations.
Yeah. It's a little bit of a,
I'm just gonna look at this.
session.
I don't know where to click.
Regular meeting. Somewhere in the black.
Oh, shoot.
And
And I can make it over here.
it's tax day.
It is tax day. I like Pi Day a lot better.
So much better. That's when I found out the
So
quiche.
it's gonna come and go off.
It's good to know.
So this.
Give me my bag.
I'm like, no, it scared me.
Oh, here's the
A
pen.
minute to set it back.
And he's paper clipped them all together, but there's two there. This is the pen that was traveling with it. Both of y'all will put your check mark and your initials.
And the community.
So you had to do a general Windows update or something?
Just to get it, just to get them down.
That's probably what it is. I need to do some updating. Alexa's-
Okay, I have 6 o'clock. If everyone could please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And Christie, could you take roll call, please?
Poppy's gonna be doing the meeting tonight, so.
Awesome.
right.
Poppy? Yeah.
Okay, Fontana,
Here.
Critelli,
Present.
Pappenfort,
Present.
Stevens,
Here.
Nacarado,
Here.
and Martin,
Here.
and Meriden Shore.
Here.
A quorum is present.
Thank you. And that brings us to the consent agenda. Any questions or comments on anything on the consent agenda this evening?
I move to combine and approve the items on the consent agenda.
Second.
So we have a motion from Councilmember Pappenfort, seconded by Councilmember Martin. The motion is to combine and approve the items on the consent agenda. Further discussion?
Stevens,
Yes.
Critelli,
Yes.
Nacarado,
Yes.
Fontana,
Yes.
Pappenfort,
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
The motion passed.
Right. And that brings us to citizen comment. And this is an opportunity for the city council to hear from our community. Public will be limited to 3 minutes each during citizen comments. You will see up on the screen a clock, a timer. At the end of 3 minutes, I will thank you, and I will be, in the spirit of fairness, I'm going to hold everyone to the 3 minutes. Council may not respond to your comment this evening. Rather, they may take your comments and suggestions under advisement, and your questions will be directed to the appropriate department for follow-up. And if necessary, the city administrator will correct the public record. And first up, we have Adam Martinez.
Hello, thank you this evening. I wanted to mention 3 things. The first of is I found that my water bill was very high compared to what I pay, about $86, and I was trying to contact staff to explain why the water increased. I did not get any clarification, and I was wondering, because I brought a copy of my of the water bill. The next thing is I found a letter that was mailed to my parents' residence, and it came and it was addressed to Mayor Shore, and it was from a retired nurse, and saying about the fire department and the administration releasing my medical records. It came it was part of discovery from my attorneys, that in essence, that I went to court a couple years ago on the harassment charges that he pressed on me, and I was wondering if you guys could take a look at that. And the final thing that I want to say is you guys had Ray Kitson at the last meeting. I want to echo what Ray Kitson has said. I don't think nothing went out to the business community regarding the closures of the streets. Business owners were not informed, and I went onto the city's website, and there was a letter from Sarah Law, but I don't think her letter went to the business community, and I think that Christy Dunes and David Lady are at fault for that because they were not transparent on, in essence, getting the proper information out to the public. And I feel that, in essence, people in this community are barely getting over, in essence, the past couple years that the streets have been closed. And I don't want this council to close the streets because, in essence, it takes an economic loss to the business community, and your treasurer is not reporting the sales tax right because the business community is losing money. And I think if Mrs. Dooms is going to be a city administrator, not only does she need to do her job, but she needs to get in front of business owners and tell them what she's doing before she does them, because there's no transparency whatsoever. Thank you.
Okay, next up we have Serena. And is it Wickett? Is that right? Okay, thanks.
Good evening, council members. I'm Serena Wickett, here to state my view on the closure of F Street. In the summer, we can all agree that Salida gets busier, which is great for the town, but can make walking, biking, and especially parking more stressful or even annoying. With F Street being closed, it creates a calmer environment for everyone out of cars, even though we lose parking spots because the street is not accessible to cars. It can be hard to find parking spots anywhere with all the tourists around. Restricted car access on F Street and prioritizing pedestrian access during the summer is essential to enhance safety, improving overall experience, and promoting social interactions. This approach creates a friendlier environment for all. Increased safety. Slower vehicle speeds are proven to reduce risks and severity of injuries to pedestrians and cyclists in accidents. If we could designate F Street with no cars at all, it would further lower crash rates, making it safer for everyone to enjoy themselves and their activities this summer. As a young person I know that my parents feel a lot safer knowing that there's a street that I can be on without cars. By limiting traffic, we create more pedestrian spaces, which directly enhance people to walk around and engage with the community members, fostering a welcoming atmosphere in Salida. If the streets were closed to cars and open to pedestrian-only zones, it would attract more visitors and boost local businesses through opportunities for outdoor dining and window shopping. In previous years, when the streets have been closed, Salida felt safer and more community-oriented, which is what I believe we all want. From my understanding, the city of Salida has reworked the plan to make the area more accessible for everyone, making the closure of F Street a better idea. Thank you for hearing my point.
Thank you. And next up, Vesper, and is it, how do you pronounce your last? Gers. Okay, I would have had that right. Thank you.
Good evening, council members. I'm here today to speak to closing F Street to vehicular traffic during the summer months, allowing only foot traffic. By doing so, we can enhance the area's vibrancy, appeal, and overall value. This transformation creates a more inviting and safer environment for pedestrians, encouraging outdoor activities, local shopping and dining. It also fosters a sense of community by giving people a space to gather, relax, and enjoy the unique character of our town. Other cities, including Salida, in the previous summers of F Street closure have seen significant benefits with increased foot traffic, intentional gathering grounds, and higher revenue for local businesses. Importantly, the proposal offers a dedicated space for our youth. It gives them a safe, open area to meet up, engage with one another, and participate in summertime activities. By fostering this kind of environment, we provide young people with opportunities for creativity, connection, and positive social interaction. A breath of fresh air, literally. Encouraging health, mental, physical, and overall well-being by providing for one of the most essential human needs, that is common ground and a sense of belonging. Additionally, a pedestrian-only F Street elevates the area's charm, making it a destination for both locals and visitors. Let's create a space that celebrates the energy of summer and the spirit of our community. Thank you for considering this initiative.
Thank you. And then Harry Hansen.
Good evening, Council. Harry Hansen, Riveting Experience Jewelry on F Street, and I'm also speaking on behalf of the fairly newly formed Downtown Business Group. And while we don't represent every business in downtown yet, the members of our group so far are generally in favor of the street closure. We have a few things that we would like clarification on. We need to know what the restrictions of the street use are as soon as possible. Some of us have to alter our street structures. And then wondering if there's a way that we can improve the signage on the corners at the light for the businesses on First Street to direct traffic off of F Street down First Street. I know that we put the new wayfinding signs up last year. They're okay, but wondering if there's a possibility that we can do something to just generally direct traffic up and down First Street. And then dates, yeah, dates of the closure as soon as possible so that we can plan. There's a lot that goes into doing the best that we can to improve the look of what we're doing on the street, and that takes as much time as you can give us. So those dates ASAP would be great. That's all I got.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it. That's everyone I have signed up. Is there anyone online?
Not that have raised their hands.
Okay, very good. So that will bring us to new business then, in Resolution 2025-12, a resolution of the City Council for the City of Salida, Colorado. I'm having to go to the next page. Approving the subdivision improvement agreement for the Angel View Neighborhood Plan Development and Major Subdivision. Thanks, Carolyn.
Good evening. Good to see everyone again. I will be providing a brief summary of this subdivision improvement agreement for the Angel View Neighborhood Plan Development and Major Subdivision. The next slide. Just as background, Ordinance 2422, adopted in January of this year, approved the neighborhood plan development and major subdivision. This subdivision and improvement agreement includes all of the required public infrastructure and park improvements for the subdivision. I apologize, that was not clearly stated in the first paragraph of my staff report. The next slide. Just as a reminder, the subdivision includes a mixture of single-family, duplex, townhome, and multifamily lots totaling 115 units, as well as the street and public park dedications and improvements, and including a system of interconnecting shared use paths and other outlets to be maintained by the HOA. In the next slide. This is the plan development plan. The maroon buildings are the apartments, the orange are duplexes and townhomes, and the light yellow are single family. So you can see there's quite a mixture. In the next slide, the green arrows here illustrate the 8-foot shared use paths to be provided on Tenderfoot Road, Shepherd Road and Poncha Boulevard, as well as the bump outs at the approved mid-block connections and street intersections, plus 5 additional pedestrian walkways on the HOA maintained lots. So there's quite a pedestrian connectivity in the subdivision. In the next slide. The park development concept plan includes 2 play structures for different age groups with safety surfacing, 2 benches, a small picnic pavilion, an open turf grass area, connecting pathways, and bermed landscaping to separate the play areas from the street. With the estimated cost of construction currently, a balance of approximately $75,000 would be available for park improvements elsewhere in the city. That would be the balance of the $322,000 of fees in lieu. However, the SIA does place a cap of the $322,000 on the final cost of the park, which will be determined by a detailed engineer's cost estimate prepared by the developer after the construction documents are prepared next June and subject to acceptance by the city. And the next slide. The SIA also includes a phasing plan, which ensures that each portion of the subdivision will have public improvements completed in each phase prior to any building permits being issued. The target date for completion of the park is September 1st of next year, which would coincide with the completion of Shepherd Road improvements. The proposed phasing and civil engineering plans have been approved by Public Works. There is also a dry utility location plan included in the SIA, which has been approved by the appropriate utility providers. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Who has questions this evening for Caroline?
I guess I kind of do. So since the last time we saw it, are there any changes? Because we've seen it a few times, which is great.
Yeah, the plans are all the same. This, the last couple months, we've been working with the developer and the utility providers and Public Works and Parks to make sure that all of the documents were prepared properly. And with the one adjustment that was made is in the easements, we had to put a little jag at the property lines to make sure there was room for the transformers for XL. And that was really it. The phasing is a little bit unique here. It's a big subdivision. And so working with the utility providers and Public Works, there's the allowances for actually phasing it, but each will be done in its entirety before moving on to the next phase. So you might realize that generally we require an entire subdivision's improvements to be done all at once before a single building permit can be pulled. And that in this economic environment proved to be difficult and would potentially be disruptive for the neighborhood before anything would actually be in place. So we did this phasing plan, which everyone seemed to think was a good idea and much more practical in the long run. And it also allows the park to be built in a timely fashion.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 2025-12 for the subdivision improvement agreement for Angel View Plan Development and Major Subdivision.
Second.
So we have a motion from Councilmember Pappenfort, seconded by Councilmember Fontana. And the motion is to approve resolution number 2025-12 for the subdivision improvement agreement, excuse me, for Angel View Plan Development and Major Subdivision. Further discussion?
Critelli,
Yes.
Pappenfort,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Fontana,
Yes.
Nacarado,
Yes.
and Stevens.
Yes.
Thank you.
The motion passed.
Thank you. And next up is Resolution 2025-13, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Salida, Colorado, to enter into an intergovernmental agreement between the State of Colorado Department of Transportation and the City of Salida for the devolution of a portion of State Highway 291. Thanks, David.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So as noted, this is for a devolution at State Highway 291. Sorry. Devolution is kind of an odd term we don't really use much. What it is used in CDOT terms is taking a state highway and transferring it to the local agency. It's not a simple ask. The state and city or county or whatever it may be, both need to be on the same page, and it appears the timing is right for that to happen for State Highway 291. Why and what are the benefits of doing so? We discussed this back in November, but currently 291 is under the regulations of the state. So there are a lot of things that they regulate and our code does not for that section of highway, like the vehicle types and use, which we've talked about in the past, access control, which is a process for any development, such as even the fire station is about a 6 to 9 month process to get what that access even looked like approved and whatnot, a lot of extra engineering, et cetera. Special use permits, parades, that sort of thing, need to go through the state if they are the owners of the road and right of way, as well as maintenance of signals and related infrastructure. But we are working with the state to work out a maintenance agreement where they would continue to maintain the traffic signal. That is one of the concerns I had, just since we don't have staff that are trained to deal with that sort of thing, electricians and whatnot. They do that for some other communities as well, so it's not out of the norm. So anyways, this whole process, assuming council approves this IGA, it goes to the state to formalize their approval, and we'll essentially have a refined agreement that transfers the right-of-way and everything to the city once this is all complete. So it's not, tonight doesn't officially devolve it. It would go to the state, and paperwork and deed transfers, those sort of things will happen. So it'll probably be another couple months, I'm guessing, but it's a big first step.
Yeah. Excitement.
Questions for David?
Yeah, so what's this, the HUTF funding that we would continue to receive after the initial payment from the state? That will, to help with?
Sure. So HUTF funding is funding from the state that each community gets a portion of, depending on their lane miles of roadway. We fill out a report every year that shows the amount of roads that, the lane miles that are under our jurisdiction. We get about 230,000 a year, and this might bump it up to increase it 2%, let's say 235,000 or so. And so we get slightly more funding because we have more lane miles, and that's essentially what that is.
Okay. Yeah, of course, I have a few concerns with it because, from the people that I work with, just kind of taking that route through town away from some of the trucking here in town, will considerably, I think, raise prices of certain commodities here in town, because, it is a big route for, Butala and Hard Rock. They deliver materials back and forth between each other. That's the materials that are used to, to make our asphalt, our concrete here in town. And not being able to use that route, I think that the route that they would have to take would add more time, wear, tear, employee hours. I think just gonna, I just feel it's gonna, skyrocket prices on those, even in my business, if I couldn't take that route through that way, it would raise the amount of that I would have to charge for my services as well. But I just feel like I need to, say something for the the people that it would affect here in town to take that route away. I completely understand why it is, you know, something that we're looking at to do. It would be nice, you know, to have that downtown area, you know, free and clear of loud trucks but at the same time, I think it's, you know, it's, and also with kind of the state that we're in right now, taking on, are we even in that position right now as a city to take on, I mean, how many miles? It's about 2 miles of state highway now that's completely maintained by the state, and, you know, payment of $230,000 one-time payment, and then, you know, and what we do get, I guess we're already getting that HUTF funding, we've been getting that for a while. I just don't know are we capable of making that, you know, that obligation to keep that roadway for the next 10, 20 years, keep it, you know, operational and up to code that it needs to be for, you know, for the cars that are driving on it now and in the future. So.
Yeah. May I respond? I would say, fortunately, the good news is most of the infrastructure will be in near new condition come, say, a year and a half from now. The traffic signal was replaced in 2018. That's a very expensive. That's about $1 million project back then. Oak Street's under construction. Estimated 40-year life for most of it, if not longer, for the concrete, sidewalk and curb and gutter. And we also have about a $2 million grant to reconstruct from M Street clear out to Rush Drive. That's almost fully designed, and that is expected to go into construction next year. So the good news is the infrastructure will be in extremely good shape for almost the entire corridor. And I guess just to note the truck regulations, certainly council can change what's in our code or regulate that however you wish. That's, I guess, the benefit of taking ownership of it is you can set whatever you want for that. This devolving it doesn't say necessarily change that. You could certainly amend the code. And I think as far as maintenance, currently we already maintain 291. We have an IGA with CDOT to maintain it currently, and CDOT actually pays us. We submit expense records for snow plowing, for pothole repair, that sort of thing, and so our staff are already doing that. And so the reality is it's about 2% more lane miles of roadway that we'd be bringing into the city, which isn't a lot. We're already maintaining it, and a lot of it's in good condition, so I feel pretty good about it personally, but.
Yeah, I was just going to expand on his point of, and maybe you just did a little bit about changing that code to have a truck route, or, you know, I know a lot of cities do have truck routes, and they say, okay, trucks go this way only. So where would ours be from a suggested Hard Rock over to Butala?
So that's a different discussion, I think, for when we have, like,
After
whenever,
we've
yeah.
already
If
figured
you
out.
Yeah.
we have ownership, because
Yeah.
we don't even know what the decision is going to be on the other end, right? We're
This
just
would
saying,
be like this is a multi-step process, and
Okay.
if this passes tonight, then that's a conversation we'd have at a later date. If it doesn't pass, then it's moot.
Yeah, I just wanted to put it out there, 'cause I mean,
Well, hold on, I just want to make sure I give other people an opportunity to ask questions before I come back to you.
I just wanted to ask about the funding commitment from CDOT. Was that adjusted once it was established that they'd be open to maintaining the traffic light, or I couldn't remember.
They've already verbally committed, and this was discussed, and so they are working on the language for a maintenance agreement to take that on. So,
It's promising then.
yeah, everything I've heard from them is that's kind of a done deal. I'm waiting on the formal document to put that into motion.
Because that seems like that's a really pivotal part of this decision, is because we don't have the ability.
Correct, and, you know, I think, I haven't looked into it a whole lot just because it sounds like they're planning on taking that over, but it may be something that could be contracted out. It's not one signal isn't overly complicated. A community that has a lot of them needs to have more of a control center where you can time the signals, and it gets a lot more complex. Just keeping one that's on kind of like a timer, it rotates through. It's a fairly simple system, but I think we should have things in place. You know, this will be coming, the document will be formalized here in the next month or two to kind of flesh out some of those details.
I mean, it's also not part of tonight's decision, but it offers potential for addressing all these safety concerns in the more agile way that the city can than the cumbersome way that the state has to deal with it. And, you know, living over there on the west side, it's, there are a lot of safety issues if you want to go walking on Highway 291 there. So I am excited about the potential. Again, we're not making that decision tonight, but the potential for addressing safety issues there.
Before I come back to Councilmember Stevens, anyone who hasn't spoken who would like to? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so I know we're not making this decision now, but so if the reason that I'm speaking for the bigger trucks issue driving down, back and forth, down and through that area, if that's not, because that's where I kind of came about why we're doing this, why we need to do this. So if that's not the issue, what exactly is the issue that we need to do this other than the safety route, which in that aspect, CDL drivers that drive those big trucks, have more, training than a person that just driving a regular car to me. But so if we're not doing it to get rid of the bigger trucks and that sort of traffic down there, then why are we doing it exactly?
So, I think there are a couple reasons why it could be a benefit for the city. One of them is to have the ability to regulate the street the way we do any of the other streets in our community. Right now, in order to have parades down F Street, we have to get a CDOT permit for them to cross 291. They can't be on 291. We can't allow business owners on 291 to extend into the parking areas the way we do for businesses on F Street because it's a state highway. We, out here in front of this building, it is extremely dangerous for people to park on First Street. We could remove part of the sidewalk and decrease the size of the sidewalk to allow for more safe parking there. But in order to get through the CDOT permitting process, it's difficult. So for us to have a bit more local control, I think is the response to that. Yes, there's been a lot of discussion about the trucks going down First Street. I think when you're down there as a pedestrian, it's loud and smelly, so that probably is, that's part of the reason the conversation came up. But for the city to be able to manage a main street through our community is probably the biggest benefit.
And I would just say that, in the 7.5 years I've been on council, I have gotten this question at least 25 or 30 times from citizens, business owners, complaining about the safety issues, the impact on the streets, the buildings. I'm not saying that it's not a decision for tonight, but it's been pretty consistent from the community. And I fully recognize anytime big decisions are made, there's going to be people who are supportive of them and others who aren't. We're just trying to find the balance, but this is just the first step. The other piece that I wanted to make sure I was correct on is, in the past, it really wasn't an option because they were saying we had to take over maintenance on these bridges as you move further out of town, which would have been cost prohibitive. Is that?
I believe it was initially from Highway 50 all the way to 285, so it wouldn't even have been within our jurisdiction. So yes, extremely cost prohibitive.
Okay. Any other questions before we move on to discussion? Okay. Who would like to begin the discussion?
I would entertain or make a motion. Ready? Mr. Mayor, I move to approve Resolution 2025-13, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Salida, Colorado, to enter into an intergovernmental agreement between the State of Colorado Department of Transportation and the City of Salida for the devolution of a portion of State Highway 291.
Second.
So we have a motion from Councilmember Nacarado, seconded by Councilmember Martin. The motion is to approve Resolution 2025-13, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Salida, Colorado, to enter into an intergovernmental agreement between the State of Colorado Department of Transportation and the City of Salida for the devolution of a portion of State Highway 291. Further discussion?
Pappenfort,
Yes.
Critelli,
Yes.
Nacarado,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Stevens,
No.
and Fontana.
Yes.
The motion passed.
Great, thank you. Okay, and then next up is Resolution 2025-14, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Salida, Colorado, reauthorizing the temporary closure of a portion of F Street and providing a revised procedure for liquor licensees to obtain proper authorization for outdoor expansion. Yeah. Looks like someone's taken over your seat.
I actually like this better. It's kind of awkward sitting up there and like trying to communicate with you all. So Ben might have a new roommate next to him for the rest. So just be prepared. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. Resolution 2025-14 brings forward the reauthorization of temporarily closing a portion of F Street and also providing for the liquor licensees to obtain authorization to bring that service out into the outdoors. 4 out of the 5 years, the city's turned a portion of F Street into a pedestrian plaza for the summers. Last year, we kept it open to see how things worked out. In light of the new streetscape improvement projects that are happening between 2nd and 3rd Streets from F to G and on G Street, that construction happening and keeping the street closed for a good portion of the summer. Staff brought forward the request or the question at the last work session regarding whether or not the council would like to see F Street closed to vehicular traffic again in 2025. So if you'll remember at the last work session, we asked a series of questions to you, and the response was affirmative in that the council requested that council bring forward this resolution to close portions of the F Street to vehicles. There are a few components of the closure that staff will need to ensure are communicated properly to businesses regarding the construction and when we would be moving the closure. There are some considerations that we need to give for FIBARC for the first half of First Street during the carnival. So it will be some opportunity for staff to continue conversations with the businesses. So you have in your packet a resolution that outlines the closure as was discussed at the work session. If you look at the second resolved comment on the second part of the resolution. So it would include closing the blocks of F Street between 2nd and 2nd Avenue or 2nd Street effective May 1st through September 15th. And then F Street from 2nd to the alley between 2nd and 3rd Street as determined by the downtown improvements. We need to keep that portion of F Street open until G Street is paved in order for there to be the circular traffic we need both for construction and for better movement downtown with having that cross street closed off. The council also discussed at the last meeting wanting to ensure if F Street was closed to vehicle traffic, there was still an opportunity for parades to go down F Street. That will be included in this closure as well. If you'll remember, we had a street layout for you all to look at, and requesting or requiring that businesses only move out 8 feet from the sidewalk with any sort of semi-permanent structure, and then anything within that 20 feet down the middle of the road needs to be very movable so that parades can go down F Street. So what you have before you is your request from the work session last, on March 31st. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have as well.
Questions for Christie?
Is it just up to 10 feet for movable structures, or is it the whole? Yeah.
So, and I wish I meant to bring the map, and I apologize for that. So from the street, from the sidewalk curb, 8 feet is where those semi-permanent structures could be. So the current Amika's patio or the Current's patio, those are within that 8 feet. 5 feet past that on either side, so 10 feet total in the street, could be chairs or tables out there that are very easily removed, right, for the parades. And then the 10 feet in the middle should be completely cleared for any sort of emergency vehicle.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, so as far as like full rollout, that would be kind of subject to the phasing of the side streets, right? Which
Correct.
the dates on that, if I'm
May
asked.
21st, or sorry, July 21st, 25th.
It's like the ball.
Somewhere in there.
And we're still
For,
kind
for
of,
G Street to be completed in order to,
we're still like looking like that's.
yeah, they're doing great.
Good.
They're staying right on target.
And I guess as far as the other thing that had come up about being able to have loading, unloading happen where those crosswalks, that's okay.
can
and
do that.
doable and great.
We are adding additional ADA parking spots as well. There are 2 parking spots that are affected by the F Street closure. One in front of Brown Dog, and one in front of Pinion? Yeah, it might just be the one. We've added 4 additional ADA parking spots to make up for those when F Street is closed. And with the improvements that are being made to F and Second, there will be 2 more added. So we're increasing the number of ADA spots throughout this improvement project as well that will be permanent, but will also be available if F Street's closed.
That is great news.
We received a concern from a citizen about the safety concerns with fire and police being able to get into those closed areas, and just want to confirm that that was addressed with this construction project that's going on right now and removable bollards.
Yes, Chief Jonke and Chief Johnson have both been engaged in the conversations and have no concerns with the closure as it's being presented to you right now. Obviously, construction projects are a different animal, and if Chief Jonke would like to speak to that, yeah, I mean, the streets are torn up, so would be difficult, but the closure, F Street closure, has the same safety access that it always has.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question.
Sure.
How does the liquor license work to obtain authorization for outdoor expansion, the revised procedure for the liquor licenses?
So
How does that work?
It allows them to come out into the street, the right
They
of way.
don't have to do anything extra?
No, they have to fill out the paperwork. I'll let our clerk respond to that.
They'll have to do a change of modification to show that area, and it'll be approved administratively. They don't have to go through the whole process again. It's just to modify their existing license.
Just in-house?
Yes, yes.
And that's only for a certain date for the closure?
Yes.
It would be, right, for the businesses affected May 1st through September 15th on the Second Street, and then those additional after it's closed to vehicular traffic.
Christy, I don't mean to put you on the spot in any way, but just to have on the record, can you share what has been done in the past for communication with businesses about any construction or closure, what we have done this year for the construction, and what we will do in the future with other construction, and if the closure passes, what that communication will look like as well?
Sure. We have a fabulous employee named Sarah Law, who is our public information officer, and she works very hard to make sure that we're getting information out proactively to the community. Obviously, not everyone reads the Mountain Mail or Arc Valley Voice or is subscribed to our Facebook page, but we do try really, really hard to get information out on all platforms. So for the construction in particular, we had multiple meetings with City Council that were reported in both of our news outlets, what the schedule would look like. It was posted in the minutes as well as on our website. Sarah and I, one day, went downtown, I would say business to business with flyers and talked to business owners. I talked to 3 or 4 myself. Sarah walked as well. And, if the businesses were open, she talked to either the owner or employees, and we dropped off flyers to everyone indicating the construction schedule, timing. There was a map on it. Sarah has also been, prior to this particular last couple of weeks, I had been meeting with some of the downtown business owners when they got together talking about F Street. Sarah also attended one of their meetings last week, I'll say, to answer additional questions. So, and we've also brought it up at What's Up Salida for a couple of months. So we're trying really hard to get the information out, and we understand that everyone is extremely busy and it's hard to keep up with everything that the city's doing. I know that David Lady and Alan Webb, both of the Public Works Department, have been downtown, keeping an eye on the construction schedule, and have been going into businesses and answering questions that any business owner has regarding the schedule or what they can expect in the next few weeks. So we're trying.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else before we move on to discussion? Okay. Anyone? You can take a seat.
Thank you. I just don't have a microphone, can't I?
Who'd like to begin the discussion?
Well,
Okay, yeah.
So, as Christy said, thanks to Public Works, Y&K Excavation, I know they're really trying hard to stay on schedule, and everyone's patience. And I know not everyone received the news, as we had heard previously. And the closure, keeping it open is not gonna make everybody happy either way. You can't, there's some people on this side and some people on this side. So I know that every business is not gonna be happy, and there's a lot of locals that use that, and there's a lot of locals that say no thank you to having a pedestrian mall. So as we had said in our previous discussion about this last month, the parking spaces, when it's closed, there are many less parking spaces. With the construction, there are many more less parking spaces. So I know David Lady had said around 50 for the closure and about 20 with the construction. So in my mind, that's 70 spaces. And I know parking, sometimes it's an issue and sometimes it's not an issue. I went down there myself, walked around, and it was an issue for me. Just even without F Street being closed, I parked on, tried to go to Salida Pharmacy, went on that side of the street, and I couldn't find a spot anywhere. Drove all the way around to Natural Grocers side, parked in a spot on that side, not in Natural Grocers, because I wasn't shopping there, and then had to walk around 20 minutes to try and get over to the other side. So I am thinking this year would be, and I know up here there's gonna be different sides and different issues. I am thinking this year would be a good year to have a reset and to say, let's keep it open to car traffic. From what I'm seeing, just because of the construction, the phases of the construction, and the parking. I think it's going to be pretty dirty down there. I mean, maybe the construction's clean. I watched it myself and it wasn't. But if we're gonna try and make that a pedestrian mall, This year, with the construction down there, I'm not sure how all of those things will go together. So in my mind, and from what I'm hearing from my constituents, they would like to keep it open this year. Next year, we'll have all the construction finished. It'll be a beautiful place to congregate, and we'll see what happens. That's my
Okay.
2 cents.
Thanks. Who else has 2 cents?
I'm going to say I'm impressed with the job that staff has done, you know, to try to make this work, and I appreciate all the effort that went into that, but I'm with Suzanne on that. That's just too many parking spaces to lose for this summer with all the construction going on, and so that's how I see it.
Okay. Anyone else?
I will, yeah, I'll just offer the opposite point of view as we know would happen. You know, it really is such a tough decision because it seems to be split. I know a lot of locals with children who really enjoy having that street closed, and it feels so much safer. It provides, you know, aside from that benefit for locals, it provides this attraction to town that I think benefits all the businesses in town. I know that there's some jealousy amongst the businesses about that closure happening in front of certain businesses, but I think the payment is that those businesses end up paying more in rent for that location because it's a desirable location, while it also creates this draw for the whole town that's beneficial to all the businesses in town because of our tourism economy, and people want to visit here for that experience. And I had the opposite experience, and I totally understand it could be like time of day, but I had to go to the pharmacy twice yesterday, which was so annoying. But I was able to find a parking spot each time behind the pharmacy really easily. So I live on 2nd Street, so I'm embarrassed to say I was driving my car. But even so, I was able to go through the alleys and easily park behind the pharmacy, and as I do at Natural Grocers sometimes too. So I haven't had a problem with parking yet. I understand it'll be a different situation in the summertime, at which time I'll ride my bike. But I know that's not an option for everybody still. I think with those drop-off areas and the ADA parking spots, it's a nice, as well as being able to accommodate all the parades, it's a nice compromise. Thanks.
And I just wanted to echo what she said about, I made 2 trips today to Salida Pharmacy, and I'm gimping around, and I parked once right in front of the Mountain Mail. The other time, their lot was open. It wasn't an issue. And like I said, it could have been time dependent, but I think it's just important that all this information's out there.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, also, Salida Pharmacy does deliveries. They have a little car with their decal on the side for people who have an issue with transportation. I thought that was
Good to know.
interesting. Yeah, yeah, and you'll see the car, the Salida Pharmacy car go around. I don't know if they deliver milkshakes, but that'd be pretty cool. Yeah, when I am in support of the pedestrian plaza or promenade or mall or whatever you want to call it, I'm representing the voices of members of the ETC, our teen council, our youth that finds limited spaces when you live in when you grow up in a tourism town. You lose your parks in the summer, you lose your places to be in the summer at the height of tourism, because we do find ourselves serving 2 masters. We serve our voters and our locals year round, but we also the almighty dollar that the tourism brings in. So then you have this effect of feeling, if you are a local, that you're second place. You don't really have that place that you can call your own. So that provides, this was just more space. It provides more space for them to be. And this is a divided issue even in my own household, because my son loves driving up and down F Street. That's the way he socializes, is by seeing how fast he can go from stop sign to stop sign.
And then, just gawking at people from his window. And he's not alone in that. I guess like all of his friends do the same thing and just like in a single file line, up and down, maybe 17 times a day. But, so obviously, that there's something there as well, a way to engage that they found with it being open to vehicular traffic. But I also echo the voices of the ones representing our creative district, that character that people admire so much. They would love to have this feeling of a creative district instead of just words like a real border, a boundary, a line where that encases that spirit and that character. And, yes, business owners as well, to help us get that almighty tourism dollar, certainly, but I do hear that split, and the people that are for it really do want to utilize it. They want to pour effort and creativity into it. That's why we got the stage. We have these opportunities for performing arts, for that kind of expression, and just like a place to be. I guess the only other part was the things that really gave me pause, addressing parades, addressing the accessibility, have been answered. I am at a loss when I hear people in those communities, if they're still frustrated, because I feel like we really are making a really great effort to increase the accessibility there, and increase the ability to have parades go off without a hitch, a system that appears to be a lot better than the cement block method. So I just didn't want to see this go on ice. I want to see people continue to put that effort into it to make it something really, really, really great, and an experience. So, thank you.
Yeah, I will weigh in as well. From what I have heard from a lot of the community members that I've talked to, not necessarily here in Chambers, a lot of them appreciate the community aspect of it. I know that was mentioned tonight as well. For the businesses that claim that it is damaging to their business, for the businesses that claim it's successful for them, I would be interested and curious to see numbers that can point directly to F Street closure being the success or the failure of their business. I think we have a lot of factors that can be put into this, into a business being successful or not. To say it's one thing specifically, I would just be interested in seeing something that shows otherwise. And yeah, I agree with Councilmember Critelli that we have done and we have addressed the issues that have been brought to us. That is with the safety, with like fire and police, the parades, the ADA parking, and yeah, I think that's all I have to say on it. Thank you.
Yeah, so of course, when we talked about this last year and taking last year off and coming back around to it this year, I was hoping to be, fully on board and be able to go one way or the other. But right now I'm kind of torn between both ways, because what is going on downtown right now with the construction, it's taken a lot of spaces away, parking spaces, closing F Street is going to take even more parking away. And also, last year we talked about coming back to it this year and making sure that we make it a lot nicer, make sure that the businesses are doing their part. And I see that there are some that have created great structures. Thank you guys for that. but I haven't seen any real plan to, you know, from the business side or kind of from the city side to really kind of make it a little bit nicer down there. And so, you know, I'm still looking, I'm hoping there's a plan in that, if that's in the making right now, I'd like to, you know, get involved and see more of that to kind of maybe sway myself towards, you know, towards a vote to, you know, to or against closing it. I'd like to see a little bit more, you know, time and effort put into what's going to actually happen in that closure to be able to make a, you know, a better decision on my part. So kind of say I'm on the fence. I can go either way kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm just going to make a couple of comments and then we'll come back. So I'll preface what I'm about to say. Last year, I supported the pause. And I recognize there's two sides of this issue, and I'm leaning more towards closing it to traffic, to car traffic this year. And the reason for that, I feel like there's been some misconception around parking. In that last year, we came up with that plan to propose paid parking, which we backed away from after getting community input. But a lot of people use that as an argument that, oh, we have a parking problem. And the reason we brought that forward last year was the problem wasn't last year or today, but we were looking at all these short-term leases we had on these paid lots that we were using. If they go away, yeah, so we were trying to plan for that if and when it happens, but that's down the road. On top of that, you know, so that was a big issue. But the other thing I will say on parking is people were communicating to me and sending me pictures many times showing that there weren't parking issues. They'd show a section of street where there was all 4 or 5 open spaces. And so I want to just put that to bed a little bit. I'm not saying that there aren't times where it's going to be hard to find parking, but I got all kinds of evidence last year that that was not the case. The other thing I wanted to mention on parking is that because we're facing some budgetary constraints, we were looking for other sources of revenue. So it wasn't about necessarily the fact that parking didn't exist. It was trying to play the long game and not. So that was one point I wanted to make. And the other thing that has sort of swayed my thinking a bit is even though we had sales taxes last year that were up overall, sales taxes downtown, as I understand it, were actually down last year. So there was an impact on businesses. The other thing I wanted to mention, and I pay a lot of attention to what people are saying on social media, and one of the things that I'm really struggling with is when I hear from people who are against closing it for car traffic, you know, to create a pedestrian mall, in one sentence to say that, but then in the next sentence say, we don't go downtown anyway, we don't like the food downtown. And I'm like, you know, we depend almost exclusively on sales tax revenue to fund this community. And there'd be a much stronger argument, in my opinion, if there was a property tax, because then we'd all be paying it and they're all our streets. But if you're not going downtown and businesses have that time period between Memorial and Labor Day to make hay and then to store money for the winter, because times get lean here in the off season. I feel like we need to try to do what we can to support them, especially given that I think we've addressed the parade issue. And while maybe it's not going to provide the ambulatory challenge community everything they want, it's going to provide quite a bit, and we can continue to work on that. We can continue to refine it. And lastly, I mean, the reality is whether we choose to close it to car traffic all summer or not, it's still going to be closed for part of the summer. So why not just commit it to it, give businesses what they've been asking us for years, clarity, so that they can plan. So, I mean, I can see there's division up here, and it's very possible that I might be breaking the tie this evening, but hopefully I've been transparent in my comments. Thank you. Did you?
Yeah, I just wanted to counter Councilmember Stevens' comment about the businesses not investing into the closure. And I think that's because we, as a city, haven't been clear about if it's going to be open or not. So for them to invest into it, not knowing is this only for this year, is this for 5 years? And I know Councilmember Critelli has brought up this, and I think we all have said ourselves that we do discuss this every year. It doesn't allow for these businesses to be able to invest. Because it's just, if it's up in the air every year, why invest into something that
Yeah.
you might not use?
I mean, there's
Yeah.
ways to plan and come up with something without putting any money into it. It's coming to us with, oh, this is what I'm gonna do on a piece of paper, a drawing or something, before you even put any money into it. That's kind of what I wanna see, is just a plan that they have and they're gonna put out there a nice, seating area in front of their building, or before they even put any money into it. And like I say, I know it is a big decision on our part to say, if it's happening or not. And I'd like to get to, a answer sooner than later on that for sure. I just would like to see, was hoping to see a little bit, maybe some plans on paper, some blueprints or something.
And one thing I will say, this is kind of an unusual year in that with all the construction going on, we've been meeting regularly with the downtown business owners. We have a consultant, Ryan, with Civic Brand, and he's been working really well with us, but we couldn't really even contemplate implementing any of those. They still need to be tested more with people, but until after the closure. So we are really working towards providing more clarity for the business owners, but because of the construction this year, it just wasn't possible.
Mr. Mayor, I would make a motion. I move to approve Resolution 2025-14, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Salida, Colorado, reauthorizing the temporary closure of a portion of F Street and providing for a revised procedure for liquor licenses to obtain proper authorization for outdoor expansion.
Second.
So we have a motion from Councilmember Nacarado, seconded by Councilmember Critelli. The motion is to approve Resolution 2025-14, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Salida, Colorado, reauthorizing the temporary closure of a portion of F Street and providing for a revised procedure for liquor licensees to obtain proper authorization for outdoor expansion. Further discussion?
Just really quick, I just remembered too, I think Councilmember Fontana, you mentioned like the construction downtown. I did see in the department updates, they're gonna have signs that say mind the dust or something like that. Just, I don't know. When you brought that up, I just was like, oh, I just read that, and just wanted to mention that real quick, but that's it, yeah.
Anything else?
Okay. Nacarado,
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
Pappenfort,
No.
Fontana,
No.
Martin,
Yes.
and Critelli.
Yes.
The motion passed.
Okay. Well, there's some happy people and some not so happy people. That's one of the most challenging aspects of sitting up here. Thank you, everybody.
Right at the end there.
Yeah. All
Can
right.
I-
What was that?
That's the most common.
Yes, most
Mr.
common
Mayor,
part of this.
Mayor, I'm so sorry. I just want to follow up. We'll get a press release out tomorrow with all the parameters. We will contact the downtown businesses so that we have very clear understanding and a map. So, and we will get that information out to council as well. So if anybody asks you questions, you can hand over the information.
Thank you. Okay, next up, Resolution 2025-15, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Salida, Colorado, authorizing the purchase of real property and approving a contract to buy and sell real estate.
Evening, Mayor and Council. So this particular item has been in the works for over a year and a half now. We were made aware of an opportunity through the Colorado Housing Finance Authority land banking grant to apply for funds with no match in order to purchase unimproved property in town with the purpose of building affordable housing. This was over a year and a half ago. We looked around the community and identified a parcel on the east side of town, pretty much immediately to the east of the school administration buildings and the fire station, and started conversations with the property owners, Rusty and Tangi Granzella, for that particular parcel. And we went through the formal process of getting an appraisal, eventually made a formal offer to them, and along with that applied for the grant through CHAFA. And we were awarded that grant about a year ago. And that grant was for $750,000, again, with no match. So once we were aware of that and kind of leading up to it, we were also in conversations with the property owner about purchasing the tract immediately north of what we were originally looking at, to try and make a better development site for potential future senior living, affordable senior living, and also to be able to one day develop a park out there. This area in particular is considered the greatest in need of a park in the entire city, per some data through the Trust for Public Lands. And so with negotiating with the Granzellas, we came to a total overall purchase price on it that's reflected in the sales agreement. So a little bit more about the requirements of the grant and the vision for this property is that about half of it would be dedicated towards a future senior living, affordable senior living project. And then the other half, more or less, would be for a public park, which it's really couldn't be much of a better location for a park because it's immediately across Scott Street from a couple of the schools that are there within the school administration buildings, in an area surrounded by neighborhoods to the south and to the north, really kind of a central location, just a little bit off of Oak Street. So we're really kind of excited about that opportunity. The grant does have some requirements, of course, that the property be used primarily for affordable housing, and as mentioned, in previous council meetings, we were looking at doing a low-income housing tax credit project for this property. And we have reached out to a number of LIHTC developers to kind of understand a little bit more of what the kind of requirements, demands of those developments are. And that's part of what really led us towards looking at that second tract, to really, instead of making a long, skinny development, you can kind of play with it a little bit more, provides a little bit more design flexibility. So currently, the plan is for a project that would be somewhere in the vicinity up to 36 to 40 affordable units. And as we know, we have a lot of seniors in our community. We have a lot of seniors who are on fixed incomes. A lot of those folks that live actually in this neighborhood in, say, mobile homes and some other units that may not last that much longer, and those individuals may end up needing a little bit more assistance as they continue to age. So really, in a lot of ways, I think this is an ideal location for a project of this nature. The CHAFA, the Colorado Housing Finance Association, they do require that there be a development plan and zoning on the property within 5 years of closing the deal, which we'll be talking about in the next resolution, and that the project be permitted and funded within 10 years of closing the deal. So we do feel quite confident we should be able to do that with no problem. And we intend on putting out an RFP or an RFQ for a LIHTC developer, low-income housing tax credit developer specifically, to pull off a project of this nature. I'll note that with most LIHTC developments, when there's land involved that you're bringing to the table, often there's really very little additional cost to the community. They can make those tax credits work for a development of this nature. And so hopefully outside of maybe some professional services, additional surveying, et cetera, the city will have relatively little in the way of commitments towards that project beyond the purchase of this property. The property is currently outside of city limits, though in combination, especially with the neighboring property, which is also owned by the Granzellas, an annexation will be, it's allowable. It has the required contiguity, and frankly, it actually will fill up a void there. It is a bit of a pocket of county property surrounded entirely by city limits. So, lastly, I just want to really thank the Granzellas for their assistance, their participation in this process. Been a lot of back and forth. I failed to mention also that not only are they going to be selling the property, but sort of in advance of development of the property and their surrounding property, we've also worked it into the sales agreement for dedication of the surrounding right-of-ways that would service this particular property, as well as make a connection of Scott Street that is immediately to the east of the fire station. Christy or Poppy, could you bring up one of the maps that shows, it's towards the end, it's almost at the very last slide there, just to give everybody a little bit better idea of what the plan is.
Hold on, sorry.
That's okay. Keep going. I believe it's a little bit further. Yeah, that one. If you could blow that one up, that'd be great.
You'll have to
Move it.
move the bar right down there. Sorry.
Yeah.
You're fine.
Ooh,
It's bizarre.
it's getting fun.
Oh, yeah, it got funky. Huh.
So that just stretches into the void.
Yeah,
Space-time.
so the property extends all the way out to the Atlantic Ocean.
Sorry.
If you can
weird.
tell from here.
Imagine, if you will. Yikes.
Oh, y'all.
It's still coming out of warp speed.
Nice. So anyways, I'll try to use this as a bit of an example. The part that's in yellow, those are the two tracks 3 and 4, that are part of the sales agreement. The area in blue is an area of right-of-way immediately north of those two tracks that will serve as a future right-of-way connection between Scott Street and the surrounding neighborhood that is anticipated to be developed by the Granzellas at some point. What you can't quite tell and see there, that's Angel View.
We're getting there, I'm sorry. We're getting there.
Anyways, so Scott Street will connect to a dead end currently where there's just a bike path that goes through. We'll finish that connection.
Okay.
Great, yeah, perfect. Great.
Sorry.
So anyways, right of way here, there also is going to be
Novice.
right of way dedication right here to connect this stretch of Scott Street to this stretch of Scott Street, which currently does not exist as a dedicated right of way. And then at a future date, there'll be dedication of a strip of right of way here, which.
Bill, can you
Yeah.
explain what that means exactly? Right away.
Right of
Right of way, oh, yeah, sure.
Right away.
You
Public-
keep saying it, so I figure
Yeah,
why you're
yeah,
up there.
no, for sure. Public right of way, basically streets and alleys,
Okay.
becomes the property of the city for the purpose of access and utility
So the
connections and
blue and the
everything else.
red.
Yes, yep, in the blue and the red, and then also a strip that's not shown right here. So, streets, imagine a street coming through here, a smaller street connecting eventually to River Road
Okay.
up here. And then the remaining property around will be the Granzellas for a future subdivision that they're gonna do.
Okay.
As part of this, I'd be remiss without saying that because they're providing additional right-of-way that the city is going to be able to use for parking within that blue strip, and the additional property that will become a public park, we're writing into the sales agreement that the remaining subdivision wrapping around will have no open space requirements as a part of it in the future. We're actually getting more out of this space, and we'll be able to do a larger public park from these 2 tracks than we ever could through our code if they were just going to straight ahead, subdivide it out in the future. So we're actually benefiting as far as the overall landmass that we get. So, all right. And then as I mentioned, the next resolution is specific to the authorization of the CHAFA grant to finalize it for staff and the mayor to finalize that. But I just want to give you that context right now.
Thank you. Cool. Questions?
Well, it's very exciting. I think I want to talk about the value of the property and especially with those right-of-ways for creating streets. And am I thinking of the right place in that Scott Street currently doesn't have any egress? Would that be the right word? Or like a throughway into that property? So there is actually a really safety issue over in that neighborhood, in that there's like one way in and one way out of that neighborhood. So I don't know how you calculate that kind of value for a city.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. From a safety perspective, it's fantastic. For the fire station, it's also great because they're going to have that extra access out of the back that they can utilize as necessary.
Right. So with that in mind, with the difficulty of calculating the value of that in mind, just want to make sure that I don't remember how much we bought the property for the fire station for, but just want to make sure it lines up value-wise with the surrounding area, or are we paying more because the value will increase with that development around it?
The appraisal came out slightly higher than the overall sales price. And I will also mention, we're getting $750,000 for free towards the purchase price. So the ultimate amount that the city is going to be fronting for this is $325,000. I would say that's a pretty good deal.
Thanks.
Go ahead.
Bill, this is maybe a radical idea, but I'm curious, and maybe this isn't the right project for it, but if this is something that could be done in the future, just doing maybe more like the public-private partnerships. If we worked as a city with an already existing like childcare facility, and they maybe, instead of like the dedicated park space, maybe it's a childcare facility that we help to develop. We wash our hands of the liability of the actual childcare center. Is that something that is possible? I'm not necessarily saying for this project, but just in the future.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. If we identify the right place for it, and obviously the right developer and partner for that, it is an option. You know, where that funding would come from specifically on for that purpose, I think we'd have to figure that one out.
Yeah.
But no, that's always a possibility, those sort of public-private partnerships to fulfill a community need. Yeah, it's a great idea if we can make it happen.
Yeah. Thank you.
So when we're talking about the city annexing the 3 and 4,
Yes,
would we annex all of the Granzellas at the same time?
yes. Yep.
So the whole big map portion?
Correct. Yep.
be
That's actually one of the agreement points, actually, that the city will take care of the annexation process for all that area, tracks 3 and 4, as well as tract 1, which is the rest of the Granzella property there,
Okay,
and all the right-of-way around it.
okay.
Yeah.
Just checking in on the health of the housing fund, and I know we have a lot of things kind of coming, going to be utilizing that, so.
Yeah, so this has been contemplated for a while now and budgeted into the use of the the housing fund since last year. And been talking with Amy, finance director, about it, and she feels very comfortable that we can do this project and still leave the amount of money for the other projects that we're looking at, South Arc neighborhood, and any additional amounts that would go towards First and D. And in all likelihood, there will still be some funds left over after those projects get committed. Last I knew, we were still pulling in, the expected amount on a yearly basis from the short-term rental taxes, and that hasn't dipped very much as far as I know, as of maybe a month or two when I talked to her. So doing fairly well to cover it, not making, boatloads of money on it, but certainly enough to work on these projects.
And the one thing I would say is, like, we've gone so long in this community without having senior living. And between what we heard last night from Places to Age and this, we have the potential now to solve for a lot of people's housing needs on the entire income spectrum. And that would be a huge win for this community.
Yeah. And I think that's a good point as well. The LIHTC projects tend to target median income between about 30% and 60% AMI, which is, there's definitely people in our community that are on fixed income, and they would fall into that range. And that's not likely the demographic that the other project we've been talking about is going to serve. So I think this really does cover a wide breadth.
Bill, will there be any easements to the river through what Granzel is keeping for their own developments, or is that all?
The only easement that we have built into this agreement is a stormwater drainage easement that's on the, it's on the far southeast corner of the Granzella property, and it will allow for the drainage off of Scott Street and the properties in the vicinity to drain out to the river. They had specifically asked that there would not be public access to the river in that location. And frankly, given the way that other properties have developed out north and south of there, there's no trail easements or anything immediately around, so we wouldn't be connecting anything that's already there.
I don't know if, I think the bank of the river at that point is pretty steep. And
It's super steep.
very, just dead trees and
Yeah.
not very accessible anyway, so.
Yeah. I believe fire is interested in talking to the Granzellas about possible emergency access if they needed to get out into the water real quick. If somebody, had fallen in upstream and there was an emergency, that's a conversation probably to be had down the road.
It's a very exciting project, just seeing Scott Street be one street will be wonderful, and having that additional housing, because as you say, we have a huge senior population, and a lot of those folks don't make that much money on Social Security.
Unless there's no further questions, we can go right to discussion.
Mr. Mayor, I'll offer a motion. I move to approve Resolution 225-15, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Salida, Colorado, authorizing the purchase of real property and approving a contract to buy and sell real estate.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion from Councilmember Martin, seconded by Councilmember Fontana. Very close, you were almost there. To approve Resolution 2025-15, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Salida, Colorado, authorizing the purchase of real property and approving a contract to buy and sell real estate. Further discussion?
Martin,
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
Nacarado,
Yes.
Critelli,
Yes.
Pappenfort? Yes.
and Fontana.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay, and next up, Resolution 2025-16, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Salida, Colorado, authorizing the mayor, city administrator, and community development director as the authorized officers to negotiate and execute all documents on behalf of the City of Salida for the East Side Senior Living Apartments project.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is the follow-up to the resolution that you all just approved. Basically does give the final authority to the mayor and city administrator and myself to finish negotiations as needed for the documents with CHAFA to finalize and close out on that $750,000 grant as part of the purchase for the Granzella property. And we did include all those documents in the packet. They have been vetted by attorneys on both sides, and we do feel like they're in a final form. So this is a bit of a de facto approval of those documents as well. With that, I can take any questions that you might have.
Questions for Bill?
No motion?
Okay. If there are no questions, it takes us to discussion.
Oh, I can make a motion.
You can.
Mr. Mayor, I wish to make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-16, a resolution of the City of Salida, City Council of the City of Salida, Colorado, authorizing the mayor, city administrator, and community development director as the authorized officers to negotiate and execute all documents on behalf of the City of Salida for the East Side Senior Living Apartments project.
Second.
So we have a motion from Councilmember Fontana, seconded by Councilmember Pappenfort, and the motion is to approve Resolution 2025-16, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Salida, Colorado, authorizing the mayor, city administrator, and community development director as the authorized officers to negotiate and execute all documents on behalf of the City of Salida for the East Side Senior Living Apartments project. Further discussion?
Stevens,
Yes.
Critelli,
Yes.
Nacarado,
Yes.
Montana,
Yes.
Pappenfort,
Yes.
and Martin.
Yes.
The motion passed.
Thank you.
Right.
And one more thank you to the Granzellas, to CHAFA, and to David Lady, actually, for all his help on this project as well.
And can we thank you as well?
Sure.
Okay. The last resolution for this evening is Resolution 2025-17, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Salida, Colorado, accepting a grant from the Colorado Aeronautical Board in the amount of $450,000.
And first, I apologize. It says 27 on your council action form, so if you make a motion, don't say 27, say 17. I apologize, I just noticed it. Very sorry. Very sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, so the State of Colorado Department of Transportation Aeronautical Division awarded the Salida Airport an additional $450,000 for the fuel farm construction. Because the city owns and operates the airport in partnership with Chaffee County, we both have to comply with the state grant requirements, and the state grant requires us to pass a resolution accepting the funds. I ask humbly that you accept the funds because the project, as you saw in the consent agenda, continues to get more and more expensive, and we need all the money we can get, so. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for your humility.
You're welcome.
Questions for Christie?
No.
Would anyone humbly like to make a motion or discuss this?
All this humility.
I'll make a motion. Mr. Mayor, I move to make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-17, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Salida, Colorado, accepting a grant from the Colorado Aeronautical Board in the amount of $450,000.
Second.
So we have a motion from Councilmember Fontana, seconded by Councilmember Stevens, and the motion is to approve Resolution 2025-17, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Salida, Colorado, accepting a grant from the Colorado Aeronautical Board in the amount of $450,000. Further discussion?
Fontana,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Nacarado,
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
Pappenfort,
Yes.
and Critelli.
Yes.
The motion passed.
All right. And then we're on to council reports, and we'll start this evening with Councilmember Pappenfort.
Finance had a meeting, and that's all I have to report. The audit is gearing up. That was our main topic.
Okay, Thank you. Councilmember Critelli.
Yeah, a couple events coming up tomorrow at the high school is the Senator Bennett and Representative Peterson's town hall, and that I'm sure we'll discuss a lot of things that are confusing and other things that are chaotic. Let's see, the next day, Chocolate Lovers Fantasy at Mount Princeton, a fundraiser for the Alliance. That's at 5:30. And what else we got? The Land Use Code public presentation at the Annex on Tuesday, the 22nd. That's at 5:30. That should be fun for anybody who wants to talk about land use code. I know me and Councilmember Martin have had just the best time. And it is really intriguing. Especially when it's all spark notes in one little meeting.
Riveting, huh?
Yes. Let's see, Tuesday the 29th, volunteer appreciation at Fun Street, 6 p.m. And I'll be there as well. That'll be good. And then Cancer Walk on the 3rd, 8 a.m. So those are all my housekeeping things to bring up. Oh, yeah, intergovernmental meeting at the Scott Hut. I'm really saying that so I don't forget.
What's the date on that?
Oh, yeah, the
30th, right?
dang it, I
30th,
just,
right?
yeah, on the Wednesday, the last Wednesday of the month. Yeah, the 30th. Yeah, and then we had our council retreat, and for anybody who wants to paint a picture of that, it's team building in a room with no windows all day. And we're all here and in one piece for the most part. So I think we get together pretty well as a team. And it could have gone so much worse if we weren't. So, but yeah, some things that have come up. But the one thing I wanted to mention is we talk about COLA adjustments or cost of living adjustments for staff. One thing that kind of came to mind what we have in this election year is cost of living adjustments for council. I think that it does stand to be a barrier for entry when we underpay our council members. I think it's also kind of like a you get what you pay for type thing, and I know that I would love to have the time to attend all these meetings, like What's Up Salida. I would love to be able to attend all the things and be present and forward facing in the community, and just cannot because of just needing to keep up with just being able to live here. So I think that should come up on this council as we consider adjusting payment benefits, anything we can for incumbent council, so that isn't the barrier for entry, if that's not the sole reason why somebody doesn't step up and throw their hat in the ring and enter the arena. So, but hearing no second, maybe
No, I
we'll talk
wouldn't.
about it
Oh, I
later.
wasn't sure
Oh,
if you
okay.
were going to keep up. As someone who is not going to be running again, so I don't have skin in the game, I would support that.
Okay,
I would also support it as
just a
a
discussion.
third.
Great,
Yeah.
thanks, just appreciate that. And that's all I have, thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. Councilmember Nacarado.
Yeah, so reporting on the Sustainability Committee, we have a couple of events coming up. The first is the launch of the curbside composting pilot program, which you can sign up for through Elements Mountain Compost. Started with a small subsidy from the Sustainability Council funds. So I'm excited to see that kick off next week and have somebody take away my compost, as my daughter is excited about that too. And then a ride and drive event on May 10th in a public-private partnership with the Pharisee Brothers, just hosting an event there to highlight the electric vehicles that they have, as well as that citizens have around town. And you can show up and test drive an electric vehicle that day, May 10th. And then for the Housing Authority, We have a board meeting coming up this week in which we will look to approve the appointment of that at-large appointee that was forwarded from the Housing Authority to all the membership municipalities and government entities of the Housing Authority, back to the Housing Authority to approve that at-large appointee. So just going into that as a demonstration for how these appointees really do represent the city of Salida, too, including the at-large appointee, as well as the other membership organizations. We'll also be discussing the rest of those board policies that I brought up at the council retreat, including the civility standard, the human dignity and respect policy, and the open meetings law, kind of a refresh from what's been previously approved by the CHA board. We'll take a look at the financial system overhaul with the CHA and talk about our board retreat, which will be the next day. And then go into an executive session to talk about the executive director hiring. So that's what's coming up for the Housing Authority if you want to listen in this week on Thursday.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Councilmember Martin?
Councilmember Nakarado, what time is the meeting for?
Housing Authority is 4:30 to 6:30. It's in Buena Vista this week, so there's also virtual participations available.
Thank you. I was going to announce two things that Councilmember Catelli already did. The Chocolate Lovers for the Alliance. It is the biggest fundraiser event for that nonprofit. So if you are able to make it, they do have shuttles that will be going up for those who buy VIP tickets, just to prevent anyone from drinking and driving. And also the land use code, which I don't know. We're just two nerds over here who really did enjoy it. So
No, I really like it.
I know.
I'm a total nerd, but I love it.
Yeah, that's at the steam plant, the 22nd, I think, at 5:30. And then we will have a spot cleanup from 9 to 1 on April 25th. That's going to be at the Valley View School. That's to kind of just get it ready and beautiful for the new Garna organization, or the Garna program that's going to be going there for the youth. And then I just want to say I am curious to have that discussion about the COLA. I recognize that we don't get paid a lot for council, and we also do have jobs that do provide our living wages. So I think it's kind of difficult for me to wrap my head around like using COLA because this is not the job that we have to make the money that we need. And then I'm curious, when did we have the last increase for council?
Before these guys got
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm interested in that discussion for sure. Yeah. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Stevens?
Yep, just excited that we made a decision on F Street tonight and moving forward on that. I'm really excited to see what those downtown businesses are going to come up with and make that a great place for, the community to hang out this summer. I'm excited about it because my children do love being down there and being able to have a place to, to say, hang out with their friends and be safe, for the summer. So yeah, congratulations on that going forward. With the that's coming into FIBARC season, all kinds of things going on already in motion for that. See posts going out left and right on your social media page. Please remember that we are, we're a community. We're all in this together. And please just be respectful for the volunteers that run that thing. It's not just a couple months out of the year. I mean, they work on that year round. And just remember, volunteers are going to be needed to step up to get that event rolling. So just please just remember, just remember we're a community. We're all in this together. Other than that, that's kind of all I got, I think.
Thanks.
I feel like I'm missing something, but I'll remember it as soon as somebody else starts talking.
Councilmember Fontana.
Sure, I have a couple things. First of all, it's great there's so many events coming up around town. It feels like spring is in the air until it's not. So I wanted to say thank you to Chief Yonke and the Salida Fire Department for hosting us. Absolutely wonderful. I know there's going to be an open house coming up. Does anybody remember when that is?
May 23rd?
There you go, for the community. So I would encourage everybody to go get a look at that at the fire station, which will be put to good use, and they will do good things with it. Will come out of it. So thank you for hosting us last night and the meeting and everything that went along with it. And the city of Salida staff for all their communications that they did. The guys in the back did a lot of work. Next, I had a golf course board, the Salida Greater Recreation board meeting, and registration numbers are up at the Salida Golf Course. They are open, and I know they will extend their hours as soon as weather allows. I did get to play myself last week, and golf is definitely difficult. So, and I used to be good, and it's not like riding a bike. So if you need some lessons, they are available. There is a very good golf pro out there. His name is Braden. He offers lessons to adults and kids alike. They are starting a youth program, and maybe they used to have it and I wasn't aware of it. Yeah, they're doing a youth program on Wednesdays. So just contact the Salida Golf course and they will let you know. It's great for kids. The sooner you can start, the better. And I did see a ton of locals out there. So it was good to see everybody outside and playing. And that's all I have.
Thanks. So I did hear a rumor just the other week of a council member throwing golf clubs at the golf course. All right, that was fabricated. That was totally fabricated.
I didn't throw any golf, maybe a ball,
Maybe a ball.
closer.
I digress. Thank you for the hospitality last night. It was wonderful to get to see the station. The food was awesome. And I think between the 7 of us, we have 2 more council meetings between now and the open house. I think at each one of them, we should probably announce it because in a month, a lot of people's memories will probably not cause them to remember this. I had just 2 other things. I had a chance to go speak at the high school today to a couple of classes of upper class, 10th, 11th graders, and great questions, really curious, and I'm gonna go back and do that Thursday morning. I'll be there all morning, but looking forward to that. And I also wanted to shout out to a couple of people on this devolution. David Lady for all the work he put into it. And then we had a community member in Eric Miller who stepped up. He did all kinds of research. He brought this to our attention. I met with him, really engaged. And to me, that is like the model for how the community in a perfect world would work with us to bring ideas, to bring solutions. Unfortunately, and maybe I'm getting a little jaded, but it seems like we've devolved into this idea of opining and reacting to a social media post that more often than not has factual inaccuracies. And then you get 200 comments in the course of a minute, and then all people spinning out over things. And so just a challenge to the community. What Eric did was brilliant, but reach out to us, bring us your ideas, your solutions, rather than posting something on social media. All right, I'm off my soapbox, thank you. Anything from our esteemed attorney?
I don't have much of a report, but I did want to say, after hearing Councilmember Critelli's account of the day in the room with no windows, I want to make sure I'm assigned to that next year. That just sounded so wonderful.
That's great.
Yeah.
And trust falls.
Fantastic.
He hit the ground.
Everybody stayed very, very engaged because there was nothing else to look at.
I thought the swirls of paint were mesmerizing.
I got it. When a council member falls and doesn't get caught in a room with no windows, anybody see it?
That's why nobody was there to see it.
Right. Treasurer's report.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Well, since a constituent raised a concern, I wanted to take a moment to review that the sales tax of our city are collected by the state of Colorado. And the city's sales tax reports are based on numbers provided to the city by the state. Our finance staff compiles the numbers that I report to you, and I'm very confident in the numbers I am presenting. February city sales tax collections increased by about $2,000 or a 0.3% increase compared to February of 2024. The city's portion of Chaffee County sales tax collections increased by about $500 or a 0.2% increase over February of 2024. In total, the sales tax receipts are 0.2% higher for February and 2.3% higher year to date. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you, appreciate it. Department updates, no, I know they were in the packet. Okay, thank you. So all that remains would be a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. Have a good night, everybody. Good work.